We are live. Just FYI.
Been recorded too, right?
Yep, it's recording. We can wait a couple minutes and see if some people are going to come on.
Okay.
Do you have the link to share?
Yeah, I got it right here. Let me share that.
Mm-hmm.
Jam and Tell music.
I know, right? That sound. Okay. 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 All right.
Hey, you can see when people come on. Will I be able to see it? I don't know if I'll be able
You should be able to go into the right corner, and then it should say like it says live. Did you share it live on yours?
to. How we do that?
I know, right? Like
Oops, what I just did.
I can't see you. Hey, if you're out there, we're just rolling along.
There it is.
Learn. There you go. All right. Let's see. It has a chat. I can't see what you see.
Let's see anything, but I'm trying to see if I could.
Can you go to your Facebook page? Oh yeah, we're live.
So I never did a live from my Facebook, so I don't even know where to start.
Okay, let me.
Let me see. What's this video?
Here, I just shared it with you.
That's not.
Hey, we decided to go live on Facebook and YouTube.
Let me see.
Okay, so we got two views. So yeah, we decided to go live. Just give us a few minutes to share um, with everyone.
Oh, I see it. So how do I make how do I make it to where we see what we saying on
You get it on your page.
screen? Oh my God.
You should be able to see it on your page.
Yeah, I can see the live. I mean, as far as I'm not worried about it. All right.
We're going to start in 4 minutes. You can share the link though. We starting in 3 minutes, people. 3 minutes. Okay, thank you guys for coming on. We're going to start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Oh, they jamming on this station. This is Alexa. Oh, I be in the office like, yeah, I gotta get it.
Right. Right. Definitely.
Okay, it's time to get started. Alexa, pause. All right, Reese is 5 True Zero Down Real Estate Strategies. My name is Fannie Mae West. I am a mortgage and wealth strategist. Oh, and my business partner, Tony Amos. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Name Tony Amos, an investor, focused realtor here in Ohio, located in Columbus, Ohio, but work multiple major markets in Ohio: Columbus, Toledo, Cleveland, Dayton. Pretty much a little bit of Cincinnati, just getting into Cincinnati, but Dayton, Toledo, Cleveland, and Columbus for sure.
All right. Well, great. You may be wondering why we are um, presenting this information or what makes us experts or have an authority in this space. And I would say for 2 reasons. We live what we talk about. So we've been investing. I know I've been investing for, I'd say over 20 years. But if you want to know my full story, this is a book plug. You got to go get my book, Mortgage is the Vehicle and Wealth is the Destination. But I know I've been investing in real estate and doing mortgages for over 20 years. And so this will be a combination of both of our knowledge. So that's basically what makes us the authority in the room. We can really um, share with you some of our experiences and some of the experiences that our clients have had as well. And so we want to bring that to you. How long have you been doing this and being on the investor side, the real estate side, Anthony?
I started in 2016, so it's about 9 years. I started as an investor first, and then decided to add another tool to my tool belt and get my real estate license.
Oh, that
And I've been licensed since 2021.
Oh, okay. That's kind of basically how I started too. When I started in real estate, it was kind of like selfish, and then it was like taking it to the next level with getting my licenses in real estate and mortgages. But it was kind of like selfish um, going through the trials and tribulations, but then also too seeing some good wins and wanting to share that with people and people who, like, my experience is I wanted people to not have to go through some of the things that I went through. And so that was kind of like my motivation to really kind of get in this space and go all in this space. So I still do it, but I also too like to help other people because I went through a couple bumps in the roads. But all that's in my book, but I'm just saying it's a shameless book plug. Mortgage is the vehicle, wealth is the destination. I'm just kidding. Let me stop. Okay.
All right,
Um, so we're
bestseller.
gonna yeah, you gotta sell it, right? Um, so we're just going to get into some of the common myths that people have about investments, right? And investing in real estate. It's something that people want to do. It's a really a buzz going around now for the last couple of years. That's all I've kind of been seeing. People just talking about how to invest in real estate and all of these different courses. And then some people want to do it, and then some people jump in and they don't do it correctly. Some people kind of like dabble in it, but want to or don't dabble in it because of some of the things that they have a fear of or a myth. And so I know one of the biggest things is you need a lot of money to start to just investing into real estate. Do you see that a lot, Anthony?
Absolutely. And that works out for the banks because that's what you hear a lot of the traditional ways of getting into real estate. Go to the bank, try to get a loan, put 20% down, and maybe find a good deal. But there's so many different ways you can get into real estate without needing a ton of money, or there's certain ways you don't even need to go to the bank.
I agree. And that's one of the things. I think knowledge is power. And as we show you some of the tools of how you can get into or start your investment portfolio or even increase your investment portfolio with zero money down, we're going to show you some of those techniques. Do you get a lot of people saying real estate investing is too risky? What do you hear about that?
Yeah, the thing about real estate, it scares people because of the size of the numbers involved. You know, you could go to the stock market and spend $50 and not really fret about it. But in real estate, you're saying 100, 200, $300,000, and people feel it's a lot more risky when at the end of the day, it's just numbers. Numbers are numbers. So, um, if you're, it's a lot of mentions about risk in Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a lot of book a lot of real estate investors have read as
Mhm.
well. And he talks about, how investing, like everything's risky. So if you're going to invest in hopes to change your life, I mean, why not?
Hmm.
You're
Just
managing those risks. Yeah.
even when you talk about, like, when you think about how risky the stock market is, right? You can look at your portfolio and it could crash, you know what I mean? 20%, 20, 30%, as opposed to real estate. I look at real estate more of a less risky. And
Yeah.
I
You have
say
more
that
control over it. Yeah.
yeah, because if you have somebody else paying the mortgage, regardless of the value, as long as you don't sell it, right, you're still making cash flow off of it. That's the thing. You can still get that cash flow. Um, And then I think one of the biggest things outside of like the money down would be people think like even with buying a home, right? They think they need perfect credit and a job. But one of the reasons why I started the mortgage brokerage was because it was a lot more options out there. And to be honest, um, I'm able to look at different lenders. And when I look at the different lenders and the different programs, I was very shocked that you don't even need a job to buy a house. Like, like I was like, what? You don't need no job, no income. You know, and then, with perfect credit, with some of the government loans, you can go down to a 500 credit score. I just did a loan where they didn't even have any credit scores. So just depending on what you're looking at doing, it is options out there. So just because mama and them said, you know what I mean, when they bought a house, 5, 7 years ago, you needed this and that. Things have definitely changed, and I would say change for the better. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I know you didn't need perfect credit. I have to learn from you about the job thing.
Yeah, you
I
don't need a
know you don't
job.
need the W two, but yeah, no, there's ways you can buy without, again, without the bank, because the bank is going to want that job and some type of credit. But as you hear, Fanny, she got a
You
lots
got to
of
work with the right
relationships.
people. You got to work with the right people.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I'm an advocate for investors, and like I said, I'm an investor myself. But one of the things that I say is either leverage other people's money. That's the key to building. That is the key to building. All right, so let's talk about. We're going to talk about the different financing options, or the different like no money, zero down options that we want to share with you. And I'm going to let Anthony talk about the first strategy, which would be the seller financing. So take it away.
yeah, yeah. I mean, with the market we've had post COVID, the last couple of years, where interest rates had got a lot higher, money is more expensive, so it's harder to find cash flowing deals for a lot of people. So they're trying to find ways. There's investors who are adaptable, and they're going to find ways to still buy properties instead of just kind of waiting and missing out on a bunch of deals. And one of those ways have been, to seller finance properties. Basically, it seller finance. The seller is the bank, and that's one of those ways you don't have to. One of those methods where you don't have to go to the bank to get approved for a loan. You don't have anyone looking at your credit or your W two or anything like that. The seller is actually the bank. So um, the biggest thing is finding those seller finance deals. So why would a seller do that? Why would the seller be the bank? And a lot of times, so I'm working on one right now where I'm making a seller finance offer to an out of country owner. They actually live in Germany, and they bought a property in Cleveland with another agent, and kind of got pushed into a whole bad deal, bad property management, everything. I wish I would have got a hold of them beforehand, but their pain point is dealing with the property, knowing the status of the property, the tenants, just all kinds of headaches. But their issue is not the money. That makes sense. They don't need the money from this property right now. So that's a perfect seller for a seller finance offer. Since you don't need the money right now, let's agree upon a purchase price. Let's agree upon terms, an interest rate, a monthly payment, a few other things, and let me take this headache off your hands. I can go in. I still have money to rehab it, since I didn't have to drop the 20% down with the bank, or a ton, or the total purchase price to them. So still got money to go ahead and rehab, put renters in there. Those renters will end up actually paying that note to that seller. And within time, the looking forward to the property value going up, and of course with the rehab and the renters, that also bring the property value up. So then I can choose to go to a bank and refinance with a bank, put a mortgage on a home with the actual bank, and then pay the sellers off. and
I,
and maybe get some money from it as well with the refi and go try and find another property.
one of the things is that this strategy is a is is like with other investors who have gotten into a bad deal, and maybe you can take over their financing, and just kind of like save it. Because sometimes, like, what does happen is that when you don't work with the right team, right, you may buy wrong, right? And
Yeah,
so then you can get some savvy people to come in, like myself and Tony, and really kind of like research structure it. And
mm,
then sometimes it's a bailout, you know what I mean? But it's
yeah,
a bailout with you not getting any money. But then you may know, like, it's so much. There's so many different ways that you can make money with real estate, whether it's renting out the rooms, renting it out by the day, by the week, Um, but if people don't know the strategies behind, how to kind of either cash flow or equity, you got to go in each property with the right mindset. So I think this strategy is really good for those motivated sellers. And then also too, if it's a older person, it could be an older, younger person, they just say, I just don't want it. I get that a lot too. Like, I just don't want to, I'm tired of this property. Just take it off my hands. And then they may be good with just a couple extra dollars a month.
mm,
They become the bank. You give them, you pay them interest. It's so much you could do. So, but this is a really good strategy, and that's why part of Tony's title is he's the negotiator, because he knows how to negotiate those deals. Do the fact finding, everything of that nature,
mhm.
and to really negotiate the deals for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Just a
so
little, and just to touch on it a little more in this instance, like you want to find people that typically like own the property free and clear for
mhm,
seller finance. That's a good option or a good seller to look for when looking for those seller finance deals.
mhm.
In this case, this person is getting the monthly income that they were not getting before, and they don't have to deal with the headache. And also allows people to defer like their capital gains tax when they sell a property, so they don't have to pay that big tax bill upon selling the property right now either, and they're getting cash flow. So it's a lot of good reasons for a person to sell their finance. You just got to find people in the right situation to
That
do so. And
that motivated seller. Go ahead. I'm listening.
yeah, another thing that you mentioned was taking over their payments. If they do have a mortgage on a property or whatnot, then that goes into like a subject to um, type situations where you can take over the mortgage subject or take over the payment subject to financing. So basically, you're taking over their payments. They keep it in their name and everything. It's we can go into a deep dive on it, and you definitely can reach out to me about it. But subject to you definitely taking over the payments for that seller, getting rid of their headache again, and they still benefit from deferring capital gains tax and not having that deal with that property anymore.
And it's so many benefits, but they are out there, because that's why if you if um if you are a homeowner and you get these calls, oh, we'll buy your house. They're looking for, they're pretty much looking for the motivated seller, right? So then I kind of like this strategy. Number two is partnership investing. Um, what has your experience been with that, Anthony?
Yeah, so the actual last flip I did in Columbus, I purchased the property. Um, I put a new roof on it, did the electrical, did the plumbing. Now this is a full gut rehab.
Mm.
Excuse me. So I did the roof, electrical, and plumbing, and then I'm taking a step back and looking at the amount of work I have to do, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I want to spend all of my money doing this.
Right, right.
I don't know if I'm gonna spend all of my money doing this. So through my connections with local investors and things, I started putting the word out. You know, you gotta talk to people and tell them about this amazing opportunity I had where they can partner with me on the rehab. And I'm an agent, so we save money on selling side as well. And, running through enough investors, I actually didn't have to run it through that many because it was a pretty good deal for them. And I was able to raise the rest of the money and then had to come out another dime of my money to finish that rehab, which was over a 6-figure rehab.
Sweet. So then when you think about it, so I'm gonna play like the devil's advocate, right? Why do I want to partner with other people? That's gonna cut into my revenue. What would you say to
Yeah.
that?
So there's benefits to partner up. If you are, in my case, I did offer. In my case, these are relationships that I had established with other investors, so they knew I was experienced, and I'm a trustworthy person. So, and I showed them the numbers as well. I broke it down, every number, how this deal looks and how it's going to work out and pan out. So, their return on investment is going to be pretty good. So obviously, a return on investment is a good motivator for
Mhm.
someone to partner with you. And it depends on how you partner. Some people will say, "Hey, I'll do the rehab. You can pay me and make a bigger return than you could on the stock market or pretty much anywhere else if you loan me the money to finish this property and you don't have to do anything. Your hands off, passive, loan you the money, and then at the end, once the property is sold, you get your money plus interest. I mean, where else could you do that? you know, um,
Mhm.
so there's plenty of ways or plenty of reasons for partnering, and also, again, you leveraging. So I didn't have to spend all of my money to do
There
it, and
you
that
go.
person didn't have to spend all of their money to do this rehab. So yeah, it definitely works out, and definitely great motivators to partner with people
And then, like they say, that's a
financially.
what,
You can do
right?
expansion like that too.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's a wash, rinse, and repeat. And then the biggest benefit is that you can do more, right? So,
Hmm.
if you've have experience or you're working with experienced people, when you're using other people's money and you find several deals at once, you don't have to tie up your dollars, right? You can, use other people money and then you can keep reinvesting so you can keep moving forward. And I think that's one of the things we don't or we shouldn't get um short-sighted. What is that saying? You're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies.
You step
So
over. Yeah, yeah,
is that did I get
yeah.
that right? And
Something.
that's
Yeah,
yeah, it's right. You're stepping
yeah.
over dollars to
I know
pick
what
up
you're
pennies. You
doing.
see what I'm saying? So it's like, that one project you can be looking at. So okay, let me tell you about this story. This goes to mindset, right? I was talking to this one private builder, and he listed the property, and we talked about a strategy on selling and everything of that nature. Basically, what sells homes is the price. Just like you go to the store, it could and you go to the store, it could be the ugliest shirt ever, but if that shirt say 299, I'm gonna find something to wear and rock that. But if it say right? And so it's on sale. You can be like, "Oh, that shirt 299. That's the ugliest shirt
Yeah,
ever." But I bet you for 299, I could put some heels on that, some jeans, and I can make that shirt look like it's like a
something to
hundred,
go with
right?
it.
Because it's on sale, so that makes it more attractive. So at the end of the day, the price sells everything. And so basically, what I was telling him is that you need to lower your price, get your bottom number, and lower your price. And he was like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh," and then but he had several other projects to do. So I suggested the partnership investing, but also too, I said, you're stepping over dollars, right?
Mhm.
To go get this penny right here. So he had like several other projects that if he would have just, changed his mindset, then he could have had more. And that's basically the same thing with the partnership investing, right? It's
Yeah,
like if you look at different deals comes up, you have your partners, you know where to go to get that money. You just become the overseer and the manager, right? Like you can multiply faster and
right,
again,
right.
without your money. Now, this is my wheelhouse right here. Strategy number 3 is VA loans. So I am a veteran And the VA loan is the best
I didn't
loan.
know
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, see, I'm gonna need for you to go and look at my profile.
that.
Okay.
Read the book. Got a lot of book.
Okay. But the VA loan is so many strategies that you can do. But the biggest key is that this is a homeowner loan. But the strategy that we used is that we bought our first home. Well, my husband did. In my book, I'm gonna tell you the whole story about what happened to me. But nevertheless, you can buy up to a 4 unit, 100% financing, right? 100% financing, no money down, no PMI, and you can use it for multifamilies. So you can start living it for a year, right? Live in it, make it your own. And then when you're ready to move on, you can go to the next property, right? A lot of people think you can't have two VA loans at the same time. That's not true. And then a lot of people don't know that with your VA benefits, even if it's rented out, you can still, if the rates are high, you can still refinance and when a tenant is in it. So it's, and then like when you have two VA loans, you have a bonus entitlement. So that's something you just, don't think that you can't have two VA loans, right? Because this is just wonderful. No PMI. So this means that you can afford more. And then one of the things is that, like, if you already have a residence, right, you can use the rental income to cover that house that you have moving into another house. So that means that now the house that you're renting out that you lived in and you're not ready to move on, you can use rental income and that's not counted against you. So it's so many strategies around, veterans. You might as well take advantage of we
Right.
served. It's not even taking advantage. It's like, we served and
Yeah.
they're
Deserve it.
yeah, and they're providing us, different tools and rewarding us for serving. But a lot of people don't know and they don't take advantage of it. And honestly, I bought my first house when I was in my 20s. I was 22, and I really didn't know about my benefits either, right? And the loan officer didn't tell me. Didn't because it's the myths or it's the false information that's out there, like, oh
Mm.
well, this is going to be an investment property eventually, so I can't use my VA benefits, or the VA loans are for like my forever home. That was kind of like my mindset. I thought this, because all the benefits to it, and I thought it was like, oh, this for my forever home. I didn't think I can use it again. And being in the industry, I've learned so much, and that's why I, want to educate. And then I want to say to those realtors out there that think VA loans are not good loans, that's a lie within itself. And that is something that really upsets me, because when some realtors they see a VA loan, they're like, oh no, we don't want that, because they look at it like, oh, they don't have to put any money down. But the average VA loan borrower has over a 700 credit score, money in the bank. But again, if I don't have to put money down, why would I? I
Right.
can use that for other investments. But a lot of people don't really understand how beneficial the VA loan is. So if you served, um, even reserves, National Guard, full Army, Marines, any service, I say you want to make sure that don't let anyone try to convince you to take a conventional loan or a FHA loan, because they don't know what they're doing. And that's usually what's the
Yeah.
problem. I have so many look, you can tell I'm passionate about that, because I have so many strategies about really building wealth and
Yeah.
security through, as being a veteran in VA loans.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a lot of things that
Um,
you can do. Go ahead. What are you gonna
isn't
say?
the USDA, isn't that a
Yeah,
low down payment or zero down?
USDA is a yep, is another one. I didn't put it in here. I should have put it under that, but USDA is a 100% financing too, and that's in a rural area.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're sweet like Anthony and get the seller to pay your closing costs, You can basically walk in there with no money down, and I've had that. I got a couple
Right.
reviews. They're like, "Oh, Fanny, thank you so much." You know what I mean? Because
Mm,
it's just a sweet deal, and it's just based on the area and you qualifying. So,
mm,
um, you have to really, know your options and going in with the right strategy.
right.
Um, the key thing is the right strategy for where you want to be and what you're trying to achieve. Mm. Anything else you want to say on that? I believe.
No, yeah, yeah, no. There's you mentioned like the seller concession, like that's a big one too, to help you with your down payment or anything on a home, even a investment property.
I, I was just about to say that because I negotiate that with
Yeah,
that's a good negotiating too, because at the end of the day, when you just really, I believe in a win-win strategy
right.
for everybody.
Yeah.
And so if the deal works, then it works. Because if you can put if you can minimize your out of pocket, the money that you were going to put down, you can use that for something else or to continues to build, right? A lot of people, this is I think it's just the messaging that's been out there for a while, but a lot of people want to get out of debt, right? And pay off their house. It's an accomplishment to have a paid off house. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying just think a little bit differently. I have a paid off house. You still have to pay your property taxes and insurance, but I can't use $500,000, but I got a paid off house. I'm gonna just keep moving because I'm just let's let that sit there for a minute. I got
Mm.
$500,000, right? Tied up in equity, and I'm not doing anything with it, but I have a paid off house.
All right.
No, it's
Can
just we
you
just gonna
can use that to
do
invest?
do 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 do
So
do.
that's another no money down strategy, or the HELOCs and home equity lines of credits and stuff. If you have a home with equity, you can borrow from your home, negotiate the seller concessions, and have
And
a property.
then, there you go. But then it's about the strategy, making sure what your goals are, making sure that you have in the right provisions, right?
Mhm.
I always look at like the kind of like the worst case scenario. My husband is very analytical. And so I'm like a risk taker, but he's analytical. So he'll break a deal down to the nth degree. So then that helps me break the deal down. Like earlier in my real estate investment, I'm like, yeah, let's go. When you're younger, I'm not gonna age myself, but when I was a teenager, I bought my first house. But when you're younger, it's like, yeah, let's go. And then as you mature, you kind of break it all down and you look at the worst case scenarios and everything. So again, working with, a power team like me and Anthony, you get our expertise and our experiences wrapped up in one. And one of the things is that I'll talk about like hard money, and then we can talk about private money. Hard money and private money is different, right? Hard money is lenders that will loan you money for 100% of the project, but it's the loan to value. So they look at the after value, right? Like what it's going to look like after it's fixed up, right? So they'll loan, to say it's $100,000 property, they'll loan you 70,000. But if the rehab was, let's say 10,000, 20,000, you'll get the full 20,000 for the rehab, but you do have that down payment for the actual purchase. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And
like you
so
said, they are lenders, so yeah, they're going to be they are going to be looking at your experience and
that's
credit
it.
and things like that, and want a down payment. Typically, especially if you're newer,
Mm.
um, until you've
And
established a really good relationship with them. As you go along, it gets cheaper, but just starting out, it's going to be pretty much what Fanny is saying here.
And that's you have to think about it. It's kind of like risk and reward because some of the hard money lenders I work with, they don't really scrutinize the credit score more so than the deal, right? And so, but they do look at credit. So, I mean, you don't have to have perfect credit, but I mean, if you have like foreclosures and you got to think about risk and reward, and that's why when you look at the loan to value, right, how much they're going to lend you based upon the house's worth, they don't go up to like a regular homeowner loan would, a home ownership loan would. They're not going to go up to like 95% or 96.5 because it's a risk. So we're not looking at on hard money, they're not looking at your income. They're just really analyzing the deal and your experience. So the less experience you have, yes, the more risk it is. So it's going to cost more. But if you have more experience, then the terms get a lot better because they see that you've been doing this and you get just better terms. Um, but then when we talk about hard money, this is kind of like those no money down strategies, right? So we combine the hard money with the private money, right, Anthony? Go ahead.
Yeah, you definitely can combine the hard money and private money, stack them together. Say for example, like say you're a newer investor and you find a pretty good project and a hard money lender, decides to partner with you on that project and loan you the money. Usually, like you said, 100% of rehab and 70-80% of the purchase price. And you know, sounds great, but I need that 20-30% down. So, where I'm gonna get that from. So that is where you could, start reaching out to private money lenders. Now, private money lender can be anybody, it can be grandma, it could be mom, dad, uncle, auntie, a coworker, guy you met at the bar. It can be anybody. There are private money companies out there. But if you have relationships with people that have some money, whether it's in a 401k, some stocks, whether, money's under the mattress, and, you can show them that you have a good deal and that you will pay them back their money plus interest, they may be willing to loan you that 20 to 30%. And now you have that down payment to get that property, and you take that hard money through the rehab, put it on the market, sell it, or refi it, get your money and pay everybody back.
And then even with like when you think about the private money, there are investor groups that just, this is what they do. They look, for
Yeah.
people to lend money to. And then on the flip side, if you think about it, if you like real estate and you don't really want to invest a lot of your time into it, getting with a company that does that, it's a lot of companies that people don't realize that they can partner with, buy shares, or like invest in different deals through a company, not just an individual, but through a company. um,
Mhm.
and I work with a couple of those too, but it's like, okay, you can invest, say I want to invest 10,000, and they're going to work the deal and everything of that nature. All you do is put your money up, and that's kind of basically like investing in the stock market. You can kind of look at that with that mindset, right? It's just another avenue, and it's just more exposure. So, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know
If like say if you you find out, if like say it could be parents may have a 401k sitting around, stock market may be down, and you offer them better returns through a fix and flip. It could be anybody you go to. Um, like I've met people in literally in bars, um, not hole in the wall bars. Don't be you go where you think people with money are going to be. Go to the downtown business district or whatnot. Dress nice. Just go chit chat and talk to people. Let everybody know. You help people earn big returns on their money, and then they'll get curious and really be asking you, "What does that mean? What do you do?" And you can kind of deep dive into it like that. But or again, you can reach out to someone like Fanny who has relationships with these private money lender groups, and she could, definitely help you find someone, because there are people who would pull money together, and then I'll have like a front facing person that will be out there actually looking for the opportunities, and you'll be the one that can bring them that opportunity.
Absolutely. Okay, this is your wheelhouse. Assignment of contracts.
hmm Yeah, assignment contracts, or may have heard of wholesaling, which is pretty much an easy way to get, well, not easy, but it's a way to get into real estate, um, with no money, credit, or any of that, and a good way to start building up some cash. Um, depending on where you at, different states have different laws. Some states don't allow it at all, but here in Ohio you can, but you just have to be very open about what you're doing with the seller. So, you have to actually tell them that you're assigning a contract. So you basically negotiate with the seller, purchase price. You get it under contract, and then you're selling the rights to that contract to a buyer. Um, then the buyer pays for the rights to that contract, which is usually your purchase price plus your fee. And go to the closing table. Everybody gets paid. Buyer gets their property. Seller gets their money. Everybody should be happy. That's the way it should go, if you're doing business correctly. So, it's like I said, it's a easy. I keep saying easy. It's not easy. It's the easiest, but it's hard work. It's hard work
Hmm.
to find those sellers, because you got to know how to, who to reach. Who are you reaching out to? There's distressed sellers. There's all type of distressors out there, but you may focus in on a couple types of distressed sellers, whether that's you know people that are going through a foreclosure, or probate, um, tax, back taxes, tax liens, anything like that. So there's a lot of stress signals out there that you can find through public information, and you can target a certain group of people, and just kind of get a script that applies to those people that you're talking to. And you got to talk to a lot of people. You got to talk to a lot of people. Got to have thick skin. Um, and of course, I'm about cold calling. If
Hmm.
you want to start it the easy way with no money down and all that, you can do this through cold calling. There's things out there you can use to get customer information. Start calling them, and you're just waiting for that first yes. All you need is one yes. You call 100 people, 99 say no. You need that one yes to make you know anywhere from five to limitless amounts of money a
Pretty
month.
much.
So,
Right. It's
um,
just like that one, you know what I mean? That one,
yeah,
can start your real estate. I think the key thing is that what I hear you saying, Anthony, is like we like to set the right expectations. Being in this business for a minute, we've rode the ups and the downs. And a lot of programs people sell, it makes it seem like it's just so easy, right? It can be easy, right? With the right strategies and systems. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be easy, but you're going to have patience, you're going to have systems, and you need to have fortitude and determination to get to your goals. Because if it just costs you, just think about it, it just cost you picking up the phone, right? Calling people, or just writing around and really finding these deals,
yeah,
and you make 5 grand from just talking, negotiating,
yeah.
like that's, you know,
I'm glad
I
you said
mean,
that. Yeah, that's another way that doesn't cost much money at all,
yeah,
which is driving around, finding a good neighborhood, driving that neighborhood every block in that neighborhood, and looking for homes that show signs of distress. So, high grass, bad roof, failing gutters, all kinds of things. And
pretty
you
much.
may find a seller who's just ready to sell. Um, or you may find a seller that doesn't even live there. Maybe they inherited the home. Maybe they are an investor in another state or something, and have no idea that. I've called so many people that had no idea that their property was in bad shape because
Yeah,
they
because
have like bad property management or
Mhm.
whatnot. So, you can definitely, that's another way to do it other than cold calling. You can, be a little more direct. But it's gonna take your time. Take a Saturday morning, whatever, drive around a nice neighborhood, look for homes that, or transition in neighborhood. You can't be can't really be at the bottom. Can't be at, if you do find something in a really upscale neighborhood, you really have to hone in on finding a buyer for that. But um, kind of your middle class median um, list price, which here in Columbus is, I don't know, it's always hovering around 295 and 305. So you find neighborhoods who have ARVs of 295 to 300, and find homes that look like they need some work. And you look up public information, get their information, get their number, give them a call, just have a conversation. If
A-
they're not interested, they're not interested. Move on. But you just keep doing that till you find that one. So it's just going to be mostly about just doing it repetitively all the time. But it's worth it.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind your why, like,
Yeah, yeah.
your why. And if this is a strategy that you can use, like, why not? Right. So
Hmm.
we hit on a couple different, we hit on like five good strategies that you can kind of implement,
Hmm.
you know, to get your real estate investments off the ground. If this is something that you thought about and you wanted to do, like now what? We know about these strategies. Now what? So like with somebody with like zero to no money down, right? Key things would be assignment of contract, right? Assigning contracts, what we just talked about, going and finding those deals, partnership investing, right? VA loans, but I didn't hear over VA loans for, and then USDA. Those are true zero down loans, not down payment assistance, but zero down, no down payment required loans, right?
Hmm.
One is area driven, which is the USDA, and the VA, you have to be a veteran in order to get that, or serving in the Army, I was in the Army, but serving in the military, period.
Hmm.
And then you can go into more like, so now that's the beginner, zero money. Now you have a little money in your pocket, right? You can buy a house with a lease with the option to buy. We didn't talk about that, but a lease with the option to buy, and that's pretty much the seller financing option, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. You can find you, you can look at the homes for sale and see if they'd be interested in, like, it is what it is. Rent to buy, lease to buy, um, seller finance. You agree on the purchase price, pay them out monthly until you pay them in full. Years down the line. That work for some people. Again, they can avoid the big tax payment.
mhm.
Maybe their home is free and clear, so they don't have a mortgage, and it's just all cash flow for them. So long as it makes sense for them, like Fanny's been saying, like it has to make sense for everybody. So just make sure you know what your deals look like, and learn rehab numbers and things like that, and then you can make your offers make sense for everybody involved.
And that's the key. Like what you said, make the offer make sense for everybody involved. I think the best and most successful real estate deals are a win-win situation. When you go in and you're just trying to um, get the low to the rock bottom deal, it's like you want to come up on top. That's not longevity in this business, right?
Yeah,
Because you're going to miss out on so many great deals. But it's
right.
like one of the things that I teach is that know your numbers. I mean, it's just everything. Have a plan and know your numbers. And then if you can make the deal sweeter, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna go in, with a little bit off the top, right?
Yeah,
But I already
and
know,
yeah,
yeah,
think about the win-win too. Like, just when I say win-win, it's not like it's always you just splitting 50-50 or something.
yeah,
Like I
no,
said,
it's
some
not.
people are going through a situation, they want to be done with it, and pretty much giving you a house with no money down works for them, and that's great for you. So,
Right.
as long as you try to find a little bit about these sellers to find out what they need, so you can make it a win-win.
And even when you're thinking about investing, or some people on here, they're just may not even, or whoever watches this video, they may not even own a home. But even when you're thinking about owning your first home, right? Like if it's a win-win, even if you're working with a distressed seller, right? If you make it enticing for them, you may get all kind of perks. Seller closing costs paid, you may get that refrigerator that you really wanted, you know what I mean? It's just
Mhm.
make it a win-win, and then everybody benefits. But it doesn't mean like, um if just don't cut it too much and you're the only one on top, and then you leave the people with a bad taste in their mouth, because then if you're, yeah, yeah,
I mean, you're not
that's
going to
just
get
my,
any. A lot of
yeah, that's just my
people
two
just
cents.
feel like throw in a bunch of crappy offers, and that makes them active investors. Like, no, throw in real offers that's going to actually work for
And
everybody
then
involved.
nobody's going to
So
work
you
with you.
start building
Nobody's
your
going to want to work
portfolio
with
and
you.
your wealth.
Yeah, because then it's like, your realtor's going to be looking at you with the side eye, like, "Are you serious?" You know.
Yeah,
The other strategy, we kind of hit on that, like with the home equity line strategy, is
hmm
the HELOC. And now they even have the HE loans. You can do, and this is, you can, oh man, they just rolled this out, or I just found out about it, because I usually look for different programs to benefit my clientele. And you can do a debt service loan, a DSCR. And basically what that is that, um, you don't need a job. Again, this is one of them loans, you don't need a job, but you do need income. But the income is from the property, not from you. But then again, let me correct myself. You don't need income. And I would tell you why, because you can get a DSCR loan with the property being vacant, but it has to have an intent to rent. So you can.
yeah.
And
And those
so
the market rents got to be able to cover what your
the
mortgage payment would be on
pretty
those two.
much, and
Yeah,
and that's what it is. And so you can do a HELOC. So if you have some investment properties out there that's close to being paid off, right? You can leverage those to build or fund your lifestyle. But I always say use money to make money, and then to make more money, so you can, you know, live that financially free life. You're not punching a clock if you do it right.
mm,
Um, you can have more financial freedom, and then you can do cash out refinance. But then everything that we talk about, or everything that I always talk about, is strategy. Everything is about strategy. You have to have a reason for why you are doing something, and know what your goals are. I tell everybody to start with the end in mind. What do you want to accomplish? Because each type of investment will do something different for you. Like Anthony mentioned earlier, think about, when you think about real estate, think about, what do you want more of, cash flow or equity, right? And depending on, or do you want a lump sum of money, right? So you got rentals, you got flips, you can be the private investors. It's a lot of options that you have, but first define really what you want to achieve. What would you say about that?
oh yeah. There's plenty of ways you can invest in real estate. Um, but yeah, just know what your goal is. Like she said, if you're happy with your 9 to 5 and you just want some supplemental income, you can afford to get something that cash flows that might not appreciate a ton right now. Uh, but over that time, whenever you retire, the mortgage will pretty much be paid off. So you'll have straight cash flow and that supplemented your income throughout your working years. If you hate your job, if you hate your job, then you may want to build up some cash, and you do that through wholesaling, which is you know easy entry or low cost entry into wholesaling or assignment contracts, or start doing fix and flips while you're working. Leverage your W-2 to go to a lender and get that financing for those fix and flips, and just keep doing them while you're working. Build up enough cash to you know have the systems in place, have your resources in place, and your people in place, and everything. And then you've proven that you can do this repetitively, and then you can quit your job and go into it full time, where you can start building out your portfolio at that time. So just depending on what you want to do. There's multiple strategies that you know that works for different investors. I mean, if you don't want to do anything, you can become, like I said, a private lender and just lend out to real estate investors who are giving you bigger returns that you can't get in the stock market or pretty much anywhere else.
Opportunities, I'm just going to say opportunities are endless pretty much. But again, strategy and goals, I think, is the key that'll determine what you want to do. um So we're kind of going towards the end, and I think I plugged the book in the beginning, but I'm plugging it again.
Yeah, right there, but
I gotta plug it, and I'm plugging it because basically my 20 plus years of doing this, and then what I'm seeing is the roadblocks people experience, right? And then to know that it is possible. You don't have to be super duper uber rich, right? You don't have to have a lot of money down. You can be an average person, average income, you know, and leverage one house to buy the next house, to buy the next house, to buy the next house. And when you think about generational wealth, leaving generational wealth, um, to your family, and then even as you buy more real estate, the generational wealth comes from the knowledge that you have received over the years as well. So it's a lot of different strategies. We talk about HELOCs. We talk about people in the book, the frogging method, the burr method. We talk about how to leverage, like even older people. When people think about reverse mortgages, they think about people falling off, houses breaking down, but it's a strategy that you can use for reverse mortgages as well. Every mortgage type, every real estate deal, if we just kind of like change our mindset, and I love this, leverage other people's money. What was that? OPP. Okay, let me stop.
PP, PP, yep.
Okay.
OPP, yeah, you know me.
Yeah. So that's the concept. Okay, that's the concept. But he was onto something there. When you think about it, because then
PM,
you can
yeah.
you can leverage more. You can get to where you want to be. A little bit sooner. Let me see. Now here we go. All right. So if you want any, Anthony has put together an investor toolkit, and they have some great resources in it. So if you do want that, just comment or DM us toolkit and we'll get that toolkit sent to you. What's all in the toolkit, Anthony?
So I have created called investor packages for the different markets here in Ohio, Cleveland, Columbus, Toledo, that have what the resources just about the market in general, about different neighborhoods, resources where you can find information about neighborhoods, new developments, tax laws, lawyers, contractors, um, everything you would need to begin your knowledge base for investing in a certain area.
Okay, awesome. I mean, like, something like that would cost you thousands of dollars. What we're providing, um, and then also too, you think about the experience or who you would have to pay to create that, and Anthony is basically giving it to you. So again, comment or DM toolkit, and we'll get that sent to you. I just want to leave with the fannyism. Fannyism is like stuff that be in my brain that I be thinking that I want to share. But resources, they don't build wealth. Action is what builds wealth. So just remember that. You can get the resources, don't get the resources and let them sit there, right? Like really get the resources and utilize them. And if you want a private consultation, we are available. DM PC private consultation, and then we'll set up a call to help you even build your strategy, right? We'll do a whole deep dive into what you want, your situation, and do a whole deep dive and help you build out your in strategy, or even see if it's a strategy that you even want to do. But if you're here, you're watching, this is something that you're considering. So why not have that consultation with us and help us, let us help you map out a plan. And with that, all of our information is here. Stay connected on all platforms. I'm Fannie Mae West or at Optus on all platforms. Anthony is Tony
Yeah.
Amos, Realtor. His information. Is there another plug you want to give him?
Yeah, just Tony M's Realtor on Facebook. Just look me up, Google. I should be
Yeah,
there. Um,
you got a nice
yeah,
Google page
Ohio,
too. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ohio real estate agent, so investor friendly agent. So you type in Tony Ohio investor friendly agent, it should pop right up.
And then another thing, we're kind of doing this series, and our next webinar is going to be deep diving into finding private money lenders, right? This is another opportunity to allow you to start, right? Start with, what is it? OPM. OPM, you know me,
Yeah.
right? OPM, other
Mhm.
people's money, right? So then you can start sooner than later, right? Putting the whole
Mhm.
deal together and then
Yeah,
using
building
that one
trust.
deal. Yes.
Yeah,
Using that one deal to the next deal to the next deal. So again, it's just it's based upon what your goals are and your strategy. So DM us private money, and then we'll get you the information for that as well. Any parting words you want to say, because we're right at 8:06 and we started at 7:10. So we're
good to
kept it to
go.
an hour.
Good to go. Appreciate it.
Okay, let me see if there's any comments. All right, appreciate everybody who chimed in. Like I said, DM us, comment, and we will get you the information. Have a good Thursday night.